Yeah. Well, we're live. So, good morning, everyone, and having some having some weird technical glitches today. But it's Halloween, and so
Uh-huh.
there's bound to be there's bound to be something interesting that's going to happen. Um, yeah. But it's so great to see everybody this morning, and welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host, James Wisdom. With me this morning, we've got Harriet Wisdom, we've got Amber Morgaine, and we've got Spirit. So it's really, uh, it's always a pleasure to see you all. I'm kind of getting some shuffling through all of my screens that I have open all at once. So, all right. And Gabe Ripley has entered the waiting room. Hey, good morning, Gabe.
Hey James, how goes it?
It's going all right. We're just getting started with the show. I was
Fantastic. You got it all any tech issues? You got it figured?
Yeah, I'm having one tech issue, but I think everyone else was able to get in, so we'll have to I'll ask you about it later. I don't want to, you know,
Okay.
I don't
Sounds
want
like a
to
plan, man.
interrupt.
I'll
So
be tuning in.
thanks, Gabe. It's really great to hear from you. So
Cheers. I'll be in the background.
cheers. Right. Well, let me see. I'm gonna do the um, read the thing that I read. So let me find it. Oh my gosh. Hmm. Ah, there it is. All right. Mm-hmm. How was everyone's weekend? Good weekend?
Busy weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was hectic for me too. And I'm glad it's Monday. It's like it's turning out to be like my favorite day of the week. So, let me see if I can't share the screen and we'll alrighty. Cool. Yeah. So, good morning and welcome to Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join these live stream and real world events, um, where we share, inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every single day, and with your help, we've evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo on all the app stores, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, as well as our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Roku. That's reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku, where you can see all of our content there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also catch us on the podcast on all the major podcast directories such as Apple, Spotify. But no matter where you're watching, live or on demand, the latest and greatest can always be found at reinventingthetattoo.com. All right. Uh, yeah. I mentioned the Roku channel, right? We also have professional development courses available from 20 world-class tattoo artists. So be sure to tag a friend and anybody that you know that's interested in this community or could be interested in this community. We'd love to expand. So these sessions are designed to be helpful for everyone from enthusiasts to collectors to other artists. We also have a number of weekly staple shows, and we encourage people to tune in, starting on Sundays at 1 p.m. with Jason Leeser, the Sunday Skill Building Group. That's followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, Drawing for Tattooers. That's this show. You're here. Um, At 11 a.m., we have the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. That's followed at 5 p.m. Eastern on Mondays with Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple. After that, at 9 p.m., we have the subscribers exclusive drawing groups led by Guy Atchison and Sandy McAndrew. On Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have Tuesday Fields Drawing Group with Ricardo Sturdivant. That's followed on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern with the Tattoo Now show. And Thursdays at 6 p.m., the Tattoo Collecting 101 hosted by Vaughn Baker. We'd like to take a minute and thank some of our sponsors. Scroll down. Yeah, here's where you can find all of the event schedule to zoom in and stuff. So yeah, here's some of our sponsors right here. Raw Pigments. Raw Pigments is a company that's tapping into the source. Rawpigments.com. These are acrylic-free, vegan-friendly, powder-based pigments. You can find more at rawpigments.co. WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest and most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They are constantly updating and keeping, sorry, distracted. They are constantly keeping us up to date, and so for the latest on tattoo events near you, check out worldtattooevents.com. Dealize Pro, known as Dermalize in the rest of the world, is a bandage designed for tattoos. So make sure that you check them out. There is lots of videos online. So that's Dealize Pro or Dermalize. Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers and the leading edge in professional development and CRM software. They've got professional tools and they will help you communicate with your clients in a more efficient way. So ask for Gabe at tattoonow.com and let him help you, right? Help him help you. All right, and then also we definitely want to thank Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. You can find out more about Guy Atchison at guyatchison.com, where you can find his biometric encyclopedia, as well as DVDs, custom coil machines, and original paintings, as well as lots and lots of prints. That's all available at guyatchison.com, and of course, reinventingthetattoo.com. All right. I think that's going to do it. Stop the share. Thank you all so much for your patience. It was it's always a relief to take care of your responsibilities so you can get to the good stuff. So let's see here. Yeah, I was
I like that you do those. It gives me a chance to hear what's going on, but then it also gives me a chance to do my ellipses.
do your warm-ups, yeah? Right.
Hmm.
No, I've been slacking. I really have been. It's it is
Me
like
too, man.
exercise. It's exercise, If you don't do your exercises, you get you get all wimpy. So
Yeah.
gotta keep up with it. Hold each other accountable. That's what I think is really beneficial about community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did a tattoo the other day, and I literally because I've been doing these classes, and I try to draw every day as much as possible. And I did this one tattoo the other day, and I just skipped out on my drawing exercises, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the first tattoo I have ever done in my entire life. And I even had to take a break. I was like, give me a second, let me go. And I literally just did a whole bunch of ellipses and went to, and then went to the reference draw and then sketched it all out, did the little darks and the lights and all my colors and stuff. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this again.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so awesome. I stopped in the middle of a tattoo also to redraw the shading reference. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
it was something that somebody brought in, and I traced it, and I was like, this looks pretty good. You know what I mean? This looks pretty good. So so I'm working on it, and then I'm getting ready to start shading, and I'm like, I don't understand this shading at all. That, you know what I mean? Is let me take a break. Give me 5 minutes. It made the tattoo so much better than if I just was winging it. You know what I mean? I know I would have ran into
Right.
I would have painted myself into a corner, like uh, the proverbial corner. So
Mhm.
I think it was. I think it's this is a part of it. You know what I mean? Like um, it's really it's linking up the what you know to be a best practice with and letting that sort of help guide you through the tattoo, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Rather than just I'm so excited, I just want to work on this tattoo. Sometimes you got to take a step back and evaluate, and that way, you're going to end up with I think a better end result. So yeah.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
shows the client too that you're taking this seriously and you want to do the best job. And I would appreciate that more than somebody that's charging through it and say, oh, I should have taken some time to do that. Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, Harriet? Like, because for quite some time, I used to think that the client wants me to just be an artist and just jump into it with no preparation, and I don't need any reference. I just have all of this in my head. And just hearing you say that, like, it shows me that no, like, they understand that this is an exercise and this is something that requires
You're taking it
duty.
seriously. It's a serious thing for me, and you're taking it seriously too.
Right.
At least that's what I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Well, there's all this confidence that you have to sort of, come with, right? When you're going to sit down and do a tattoo, it's like you have to have almost like verging on arrogance,
Yeah.
right
Right.
there, right there. You know what I mean? But there's a difference, and so being
Mhm.
confident, and then also, I think again having a bit of humility that you would stop and take it seriously. What is that? What's required in doing that? And it may sort of you may have to admit like well, you know what I mean, I need to go and do this, or maybe we have to be done for the session, you know what I mean, maybe we have
Right.
to maybe this is as far as we can go right now, rather than like to exhaustion, all the time. That seems to be you either completed or you're to exhaustion. Sometimes it's like
Mhm.
you know this is with experience probably comes the capacity to say, well, I know that we're going to approximately get to here, we're going to, and then
Mhm.
we're going to need to do one more session because we're going to you know need to see how this shakes out, you know um and so I think those are things that like you were talking about, taking it seriously and learning from your mistakes, learning from your experience. I think those are all they're valuable lessons. Good
Mhm.
things to
After
good
you've
things to
done
share.
the tattoo, is it helpful for it to heal a little bit and then put the finishing touches on it? Or is it easier to just try to do the whole thing at once and then fix any problems when it has healed? It's better.
You
That's
know,
a good question.
it depends probably. You know what I mean? There's all like something that Guy Aitchison talks about um, is like, is tightening, right? And so, and this is something that you would find in painting as well, right? That you block things in and you get them just about completed, but then you're going to want to tighten it up a little bit, right? So go in and make sure that all of the that all the edges are filled in, and make sure that that you're you know things are crisp where they need to be crisp, or they're just sort of solid where they or maybe even blended a little bit more. And sometimes that may take healing first before you can do all that. um, but also at the end of when you're about at the end of the piece, you go back through and you tighten. That can actually be a very beneficial thing, right? So
Yes, it can.
yeah, it may very well make a big difference, you know, that you go back through, and even if it's painful, it may very well
Mhm.
be, you know, pretty painful at that point. Um,
Mhm.
it can absolutely make an enormous difference, I think, in the quality that you get at the end. So, and you're right. You know, the client will appreciate it in the long run. You know, I know I
Right.
look at some tattoos I have, and they're like just a little bit missing over here, or sometimes there's problems with the healing of some parts will fall out occasionally. That happens.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
I'm like, oh man, now we gotta do it again. But
Hey
yeah,
Jason, did you that painting that's on your website? Did you paint that?
which one?
I've briefly. It's like it's like the first image on your website. It kind of has like a bunch of little. It looks like there's like little people on it, and maybe like some
Mhm.
like anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah, I did paint that.
That is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much, Spirit.
You
Appreciate
should
it.
put
Oh
that
my.
whole collection up that you've got. He's got a whole collection of, it's like a little world. You know, it would lend itself to a story, to a book, yeah, it's really cool.
That's an awesome
Mm.
idea.
Oh God, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is the guy that I'm learning from. This is amazing.
No, I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah.
well, it's a really big painting.
Yes, it is.
That's kind of the problem too, because
Mhm.
it's like, it's definitely, bigger. It doesn't fit everywhere. You know what I mean? So,
It's like a gallery piece.
yeah,
It's
Mm.
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. No, I do appreciate that, and I need to sell them. They need to get sold. I think that's the point. You know what I mean? We make this art, and it's like, um,
What's your website again?
sell it. The website that's on is paintingwisdom.com. So you can see that. You can see that painting. I will. You know what? I will share it since you bring it up.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Let me show you. Let me here look. Look at that.
Very Hieronymus Bosch.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Oh
I love
God, it's so
Hieronymus Bosch.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so this one is based. It's I think based is a good word. Influenced by another painter called named Poussin.
hmm.
So there's this. It's like a bacchanalian scene. Is but in this case it was put all these characters together, to bring together a I don't know. Like I'm hoping that what happens is like you were talking about a story that viewers will invent a story. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
you're gonna see it and you may start to think that there's some story that exists, or even if one gets written, there's always gonna be these interesting takes that you have about it. There's
There's so many characters
yeah.
in
Right,
Yeah.
seriously.
in the picture.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other ones with the little guy that's walking down the road, and
There is a protagonist.
yes, there is
There is a protagonist
in the
in it.
collection.
Yeah. And that's so yeah, that's something I did in school. I went to school, and it was difficult. There was a lot of, like, it was difficult to produce. It was difficult to sort of, like, uh make it cohesive in some way. You know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
a lot of turmoil. I felt, I hope it's a lot of fun to look at, but it was like painful to give it. You know what I mean? In this sort of way. So I don't. It was. but it, you know, I look back on it with a lot of, you know, there's a lot of fondness and also a lot of like, I am really proud of it too. So
This landscape is really dope too. Let me show you.
Yeah, there's, oh,
yeah.
It's
So
so gorgeous.
that one's an interesting story. It's also so this one is like I'm intervening into there's a paint I painted on to a painting, and so there was a
Hmm.
painting that was pre-existing, but I started painting into it, just starting again like trying to um, disrupt what was there, make something new. And there's a lot of artists that do that move, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
of artists that do that. I think I likened doing it to almost like the process of a cover up in a tattoo
Hmm.
because that was, you know, I was exploring painting and I had this background in tattooing, and that was where I had, um, you know, I learned a lot doing cover ups and stuff. Mainly that, you know, that you have to work with what's there in a lot of ways, right? Maybe you're working into a
Yeah.
larger collection, but kind of what's there is there, and you know you can disguise it in different ways. You can try to hide it, or you know you can, but you're camouflaging it, right? It's
Hmm.
there's things that work out, but there's also uh, there's also a bit of cooperation, right? That you
Can you
need.
tell me about? Can you tell me about this one? There's like two of these.
Mm. So right, so that is like so that's actually like it's like a there's a bullet. That's the round one. And so
Hmm.
it's like it's pointing at you, and you otherwise wouldn't, I don't think, be necessarily able to tell what it is, but there's a shadow that sort of reveals that it has that
Oh, it has a
bullet-like
point.
shape. Hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
that's
it's
a
like,
very, very large piece
yeah,
too. And that is
Wow.
very tiny. You have to really get right into it
yeah.
to see what it is. It's
Hmm.
makes you stop and it's like, But and even the
Hmm.
color, the background color, yeah,
I
it's
had
really
a,
high.
I had a professor come and critique those works, and she said, yeah, like, so are you trying to make us feel ill with these color choices? Like,
Mhm.
and I said, that's subjective. Does it back off? That's subjective. I don't, it's not my
Mhm.
fault you feel sick when you see color, you know, F
Right.
you. But, yeah, so the one is like a circle, right? And then the other two are they're just lines. But it's with the introduction of like a shadow into it that you start to see that, you know, they have they have some sort of presence as something, right? So they're
Are they keys?
yeah, they're keys. At the time I was like, you know, I was sort of like traveling a lot, so I had these keys to different places. And so kind of a, you know, some people have that, you know, I mean sometimes, you know, sometimes you have a couple of keys, you know what I mean, to get
Mhm.
you where you're going. Um But yeah, no, I don't know if that again, like there was a larger series of those ones, and I don't know if they all make a lot of sense. There's a lot that goes into the artistic process, you know, that
Mhm.
not everything's a success.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not everything works out as well. Hmm. I think this might be a good moment. I definitely want to draw today, but there was something that I was hoping to share. Um, so if you'll allow me, let me share this with you all. So, yeah, hopefully.
Is that my uncle?
Yeah, right. So, this is a chapter from James Gurney's Imaginative Realism, and so in it, you know, he really talks about the importance of like, you know, of playing games and loosening up, and so in this first illustration. he's talking about like he was in a psychology class and talking about how human expressions and the connection to our animal past, and he was sketching the professor, and then and then this one, he's just waiting for his breakfast, and he sketches these people, and then he included this very unexpected text, uh, imagining that this person is saying, "Thank you. I needed to jolt my constitutionally phlegmatic system to energize me to where I can deal adequately with what is happening." What? It's kind of funny.
That's a very
Um,
good definition of coffee.
yeah, exactly. Um, and there's so he talks about this. He's got this sketchbook here called Drawing by Committee, where James Gurney will um, uh, draw a sketch and then pass it to another artist and let them work on it a bit. I think this is really interesting, right? The whole idea of collaboration, and then again having
Mhm.
fun. But then uh, this next page is let's see if I can back up a little bit and show it. This next page is a, he went to a farm to sketch some animals. Sorry, let's try to back it up a little bit. He went to a farm to sketch some animals, and so he had this sheep's head, and then these roosters, these birds and stuff, and that's what was on the page. And later he found himself at a bar, so he sketched these people's bodies onto the heads. It's so funny, right? So funny, and
Aw.
again, we're talking about anthropomorphizing. Evidently, this person saw the drawing and said they were never going to drink again or something. I'm never going to drink again. That's um, but this is an incredible book, Imaginative Realism by James Gurney. I do like to recommend books that are great for the collection. In this book, James Gurney talks about his process. And I like took on a very similar process with the paintings you were talking about earlier, Spirit, where I went through, and so I'm referencing older artwork, but there's this process of design where you thumbnail out. Like, so I didn't just start the painting with all the little characters in it. I started out with like a sketch. You know what I mean? So there had to be this sketch where I drew I drew it loosely, and I imagined what it could look like. So started off very small too, and I did a few of them. Kind of went through the process of development, and what I was able to like end up with, was it is what it is because I was able to design it to the extent that I did, and again, there's um, uh, I could be critical as well and be like, I wish this happened and that, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's, this is what we're talking about, learning from your experience, and you learn how to make things happen. Same thing with the, our examples too about like, we're stopping our tattoo process to make sure that we're more adequately equipped to do the work, make sure we've got our shaded references and stuff. Here are some value studies over here on the right. Um, this is what part of what it takes. Um, Storyboards. So if you're going to make some sort of larger narrative, you know, maybe as tattoo artists we don't always do that, but I know there's some tattoo artists who really love to work in this way, developing their own world, their own characters and stuff. Um, Jesse Smith comes to mind, um, where storyboarding could be really, very useful, right? But maybe you want to do other projects, or maybe you want to create a book, your own book, you know. So being able to like make things sequential can be very, very useful.
I've been working on a tarot deck for a few years and keeping them all cohesive
Mm-hmm.
while making sure the symbolism on each card is correct, but the artwork is all cohesive has been fun. It's definitely a labor of love.
Absolutely. Um, being able, I think, to sort of lay it all out and see it, together and how they relate can be
Hmm.
useful. Because if we just sort of focus on one at a time, that can be, uh, they can lose their relationship to a certain
Exactly.
These color experiments are beautiful too, but you can see how loose, you know what I mean? You can see how loose and how, it's really just, there's a color temperature, right? There's a certain temperature to these colors. And then there's also a value, like a tonal value. And that is, I think a really good way to think about, you know, how can you get to something more complicated? You start with something really simple, start with this very simple idea, this simple thing. Um, all these, yeah. So we see where, studying all the animals comes into play. You know what I mean? Doing your studies from life and then being able to compose something else, really, really useful. But then there was one other thing I wanted to highlight in this chapter. And I thought this was a really, kind of inspiring story. We think about like all the work that we end up putting into things. So I can zoom in a bit. So we can see, over here, like he was making this cover. James Gurney was making this cover for National Geographic, and he made this one. It seems like a lot of work,
Hmm.
and it's really cool. Um, but there was some revisions, and the art director and stuff wanted other things, so he went to this version, right? And that seemed to get pretty far. But then again, there was more revisions. They wanted to add some stuff. Maybe he felt he needed to add some things as well. So then they went to this one, and it got really far along in the process. And then again, they needed to go back and revise it until finally, finally they came up with this one. I could back up a little bit. See it. Finally, this one on the right is the cover that he ended up going with, and it seems worth it in the end. You know what I mean? It seems worth
Yeah.
it. Like all of this, if we look at the sort of the sequence of design, it's like it's so beautiful. The first one's really great, maybe even better than I could ever do right now. But then what ended up happening, in the through the process was even better still. Um, so there's a lot of effort, and then also a lot of trusting the process, right? Trusting that you're gonna get somewhere, even
Yeah.
if you're not exactly sure where, right, in the beginning. So yeah, so James Gurney is an amazing artist, illustrator, and I always appreciate his work. Uh, and so I want to recommend him his books. He also has, he does shows on YouTube and stuff too, so you can watch him paint. It's amazing. Yeah, it's great to have those resources. Um, did anybody get a chance to draw the coffee cup at all last week? From last week we were talking
Um,
about it.
where is
I
it?
didn't draw a coffee cup, but I drew some cylindrical objects.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Yeah. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
I got a coffee cup.
Awesome. Here, I wanna pin it so I can see it. Sweet, sweet. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I love the handle. I think the handle turned out so well. It really, you
Here.
know, has a lot of perspective. Comes off of the side of it, comes out towards us. I think it's really, really effective, and the
I'm
shading
not
too.
surprised. One of my
Yeah,
best studies is a coffee cup. It's in my hand more than anything else during the day.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, hold on. I want to. Yes, yes.
Roll
Nice.
of paper towels, soda can, and this is some type of hair stuff my wife had.
Hmm.
Yeah, this was my first attempt, and then this is the second, and that's the third thing that I drew.
Yes, outstanding. No, they have a real cylindrical, like sort of feel, and then
You
also,
just pick it up.
I think the shadows and stuff are they really kind of, they give it the presence, right? They give it
Mhm.
that it's like a massive thing that's like it's blocking light. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're showing my paintings today, and that's I think that's the move, right? That shows like when you cast a shadow, you're showing where the light is coming from, right? And you're also showing the shape. Because again, it's like it's so fascinating how we see and how we can understand things, but like it's my understanding that we just see in like two dimensions, and it's sort of like light that brings out the third one, the depth, right? So we see like height and width, everything's like kind of flattened, but
Mm-hmm.
it's because of light that we can start to see. Like right now, I can see you, and I can see the shadow being cast on the wall. Um, so I can tell, like like you're in a space, right, and that
Mm-hmm.
you have you have mass and volume. That's a cool tattoo. I saw your cube. Is it like an impossible cube? The one on your forearm?
Oh, this one?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
It's like
Thank
a
you.
Escher or something, or
Definitely
Yes.
Escher.
it's
I was gonna say that
so
looks like
cool.
an SUV.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Love that. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was one
yeah,
of the reasons
I
that I
liked your
became an
cylinder
artist.
too. I liked your
Thank
cylinder.
you. Thank
Hmm.
you very much.
I here I did one. It's just a picture of one that I didn't do one this week. I won't lie, but I found one. Yeah. So I think my corner's a little bit pointy. My lips a little bit pointy here. But I was thinking about like 3 points of perspective. There's a vanishing point that's down below. So, all of the vertical lines are like hopefully going to go to some vanishing point that's like uh that's called the it would called the nadir. That's so the one that's like it's like at your feet. Like if you're looking out at the horizon, let's say there's a vanishing point like like above your head, like right above your eye, the zenith. And
Mhm.
there's one that's sort of down below your feet. Uh, we see almost like curvilinear perspective, like five, almost like 5 points. You know what I mean? It's really complicated, and I think you see some artists draw in that way, and it's very very cool. Can be difficult to do. I don't know if our minds kind of like even that stuff, our imaginations kind of even that stuff out, but it's so fascinating. I think it's like we're just trying to like we're just trying to make things appear to others so that they can be convincing in some way. But let me see here. I am hmm, let's see, gallery. Yeah, good. I God, I've enjoyed so much talking about art today with you all. I we should make some. Right? We should draw some stuff together.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
should.
If you're all ready to do it, um, I am certainly ready to do it. So I've got the our pose maniacs again. I think this is so much fun to draw the figure with all of you. So if you're down, I'd love to do that. So I'm gonna
Yep. share
share this, and we'll start off with our quick sketches, 30-second drawings. How about the 90-second ones? I think those are good.
Yeah.
All right, they're gonna just start. So let's see. Hopefully that's. Can you all see that pretty well?
Yes.
Mhm.
Excellent. Well, timer is going. And I'm gonna get started here in just a second. I usually can have a camera on my drawing, but I can't have one today. So that's totally fine. Oop, not that. Funny. Yeah. Cool. I think it's fun also to sort of like start to strategize. You do a few of these, and then you work the nerves out, and then you start to think about like, oh well, what can I get done in this amount of time? What is the most important sort of bit?
Hmm.
What's going to convey that? There we go. There's that one. All right, next.
Oh Lord.
There's a certain line that sort of helps to um, give you the shape, gives you the flow of this figure.
James, what made you get into tattooing?
I got a couple of them, and I
Hmm.
just had such a it was such an incredible experience. I think I was also like really into I was really into like into music as well, and so in the music scene, there's just a lot of tattoos and stuff.
Oh yeah, I
So
can imagine.
yeah, it was something that I've always drawn. I've always drawn, and I guess I guess I was going to college, and and I went to a tattoo shop and asked for a job. They
Hmm.
said yes. They said
Cool.
yes, and that was it for me.
That's awesome.
Give it a chance. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
here's another one. How about you, Spirit? What's your tattoo journey?
Yeah, so it was kind of the same really. I mean, I never gone to art school, but I was just always fascinated with art and artwork and things like that. And tattooing was just kind of a way to almost like sell your art without having to be, you know, not an artist, but you know what I mean? Like it was just an easy way to sell artwork. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're gonna leave with it that day. they're gonna
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
yeah, they're gonna walk out the door with it.
Yeah.
Amber, how about you?
Well,
what's your story?
back in high school, I kind of got myself an apprenticeship right before I graduated because I bugged the hell out of the guys at Ink Inc. until they at least let me answer phones and sweep floors and clean up and set up their stations and stuff.
Hmm.
And I was kind of learning then, but my mother was adamant I was not going to be a tattoo artist.
Hmm.
I actually got my senior year, I got accepted to the Maryland Institute University of Art. And I got delayed acceptance. I was going to work for a year and put money away. And then that way I could just work a part-time job and go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured I'd go to art school and I'd come out and I'd be a tattoo artist and maybe my mother would be okay by that.
Hmm.
But then I got pregnant and I wound up working with special needs kids for 20 years. And then I got another apprenticeship after I left that job because my daughter's grown now. It's my turn.
Amen.
And that was with a bunch of old biker dudes that were very old school and really weren't interested in female tattooing, but they needed somebody around to clean their private shop. So that was my second apprenticeship when it was time for me, and I paid for that one. When it was time for me to get my license, my mentor ghosted on everyone.
What?
He took everybody's money and ghosted.
Oh no. So you weren't the only apprentice.
No, there were two of us.
Oh gosh. That's
Not only
hard.
that, the guy he had the shop with, there were two of them. They had a private appointment only shop. He ghosted on him too with half his money.
Mm.
He actually he had some drug problems. I think that was the issue.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
But then he shacked up with this chick that he knew in high school. When he ghosted, he went up to Pennsylvania, and she poisoned him to death.
What?
She slowly poisoned him to death with cleaner, and his kidneys failed.
Oh wow, that is crazy. Wow. Did she get in trouble for it?
Oh yeah, she's in prison.
Oh wow.
Karma is a son of a bitch.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's like a Greek tragedy, right? It's
Right.
Very much. Very much so.
incredible.
So
Wow.
I've kind of been on my own for the past few years.
You own your shop though, right, Amber?
Technically, I'm kind of underground.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
You have to know
Freelance.
somebody who knows somebody to get in to see me,
Mm,
and I vet
gotcha.
all my clients. I don't just
Mhm.
tattoo anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it that way, I've got a lot of repeat clients who only come to me now.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
Yeah, I've gotten, they just call me the ink lady.
Hmm. These
I have-
are difficult.
Yes, these are some crazy ones.
Mm-hmm.
With that one, I couldn't even make heads or tails of this position.
Some days it's like that. I mean, well, I mean, this
Yeah.
gives us that, but just some days of drawing are that way. You know what I mean? It almost
Right.
doesn't.
Yeah. Sometimes
just-
your eyes just can't focus on what you're seeing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I know we were sharing tattoo stories. Harriet, I know that you don't tattoo, but I do know that you used to sell artwork and stuff, and your wares like at fairs and stuff and craft shows and things. What was that like? I think this is analogous to some of the stuff we're talking about. The tattoo
Yeah.
world.
That was just wood burnings. I was trying to figure out a way to make some money on the side. Still be with you guys. My dad would watch on Saturdays and I'd go to fairs and sell wood burnings. And there was books you could just trace, and then you would shade it in, and sold a few up around Chicago. But it wasn't really what I considered real art. It was more just crafty things.
Oh, that's definitely art because you still have to
Mhm.
put in all the shading and everything yourself.
You tell them, Amber.
Back in the
Like,
90s,
From what we do,
you
to
guys
be
do.
honest, you know what I mean. A lot of times, I mean, you can become a composer and you can make this art, a tattoo as a work of art. But yeah, I mean, whether it's flash or out of a book, that's not so dissimilar.
yeah, we do a lot of tracing too.
Yeah.
Mhm. We get to call it art, so you can you can call
You
it
guys
art.
can
Absolutely.
draw it too without having to trace.
We're working on that. So are you.
We're working
You know
on
what I
that,
mean?
yeah.
It's-
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I did a lot
Well, I
of
think
craft
that
shows back in the 90s.
yeah, I mean, I think it's hard work. You know what I mean? I do. I think
You have to
I
be a
think it's hard
salesman
work.
and everything.
I remember something that you drew when you were 7 years old. It was the most incredible dog. Like, how in the world can you draw this when you're like 6, 7 years old? I don't understand. You've always had that talent.
Well, downhill since then.
That was tough.
That was the
There's a pinnacle.
yeah, that was the zenith for that. That was
It does kind of feel like that though sometimes because I remember like I had an issue drawing hands once. And then and then like as an adult, and then I look back in some of my old portfolios and stuff, and I was drawing hands like perfectly, like no problem, fists, fingers, all this kind of stuff. When I was like in middle school, I was like, "What? Did I forget how to do this or something?"
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That's anytime you don't work out something artistic, it goes. I used to write poetry constantly. I mean, to the
Mhm.
point where it got annoying because I would think in rhyme.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And then after my last relationship, I spent 10 years writing nothing.
Mm.
And now the poetry I wrote when I was in high school is much better than anything I could compose now.
Mm.
I just
Right.
don't
Yeah.
have the same, I can't get in that flow state
sure.
with my writing anymore.
Does anybody else have the problem that all your people look like aliens?
Yeah.
Just look like aliens.
Mhm.
Aliens or the cousin of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, the body is weird. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
a weird thing. Or I mean, we're just so used to seeing, the flesh, or even I mean, probably even more than that, we're used to seeing clothes. We're used to seeing like
Skin.
we hide the shame of our bodies with our clothing, right? So animals are shameless. They just walk around in their fur coats or whatever. How do you reclaim that lost innocence? Yeah, when you're a baby, you get to be naked all the time. No big deal, you know.
My grandson's 4, and the second he comes home from school, he takes everything off but his drawers, and he's just running around in his drawers. He loves it. We have to
That
make
should
him
be.
put clothes on. I can't even argue with him. I don't always want to have to wear pants either.
I have an 18-year-old that does the same thing.
So this one's a nice, standing figure.
Yes.
Start to maybe work out the masses and stuff. But yeah, getting that sense of of weight and that's is distributed, I think can be very effective for the gesture, very effective for you can get that, achieve it in a gesture, then very well might make a little bit more. You get the rendering going on. I can make that very very effective. Um, Sweet. No, I've been self-conscious about my drawing knees all week since Spirit told me that I draw like a weird round weird
I
round
never
knee.
said it was weird.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
noticed it.
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, it's
Yeah.
I thought that was great, to be honest. Like, because it really made me, because like right after that I was drawing a figure and I'm like, and then I took a step back. I'm like, oh my God, look at those knees. They're all, all rounded over. Um, and truncated. It's the things that I would critique in, someone I'm like mentoring and drawing or something. I do it too. So I think it's, again, it's humbling, but it's also, it helps, right? Like it would be worse for me to think that that I got it down, you know what I mean? That I don't need any help or any work. And it's
Mhm.
like glaring, this glaring thing right in front of me. It's like, uh, um, I'm more able to be like critical in a constructive way because I get to work with other people, and I think that's it's super valuable. So, um, well, yeah, that was fun. It was fun just getting a chance to sit down and draw. Some of mine turned out terribly, but I had a couple that I had a couple that turned out better than some of the others. Um, what do you all say? Do you wanna do like you wanna try something one of these head studies for 10 minutes?
Sure.
Everybody got 10 more minutes? Why don't we try one? I think that would be fun. Um, let's see. How about this first one? This first guy. Um, let's give it a shot. You know what I mean? I think I think it'd be a fun challenge. I'll set a timer. We'll go 10 more minutes. Um, but again, it's not, this is practice. Um, this is this is um, just simply, getting that experience we're talking about. So hopefully you can see. Um, if you want to do rendering and stuff, I think that's awesome. If you want to just sort of focus on the line, I think I might just sort of focus on a line. You know what I mean? Try to keep it to that for this one.
I'm sorry, what is the difference between rendering and just focusing on the line? What does that mean?
Thank you. Yeah, no, rendering like you add shading and stuff.
Oh, okay.
You add shading. I think I'm gonna like do more of a line drawing, kind of kind of try to work on where might put outlines and stuff around. So so you can try to shade it in, or you can try to go for like an outline. Um, but the way I like to think about the head study, never do the head study. There's especially this one. It's very it's forward facing. Um, I like to think of a line kind of right through the very center of the face
Right.
because it's pretty symmetrical, right?
Yeah.
Especially with this in this case, right? It's fairly symmetrical, and so I always start off right with the eyebrows. So there's a spot right between so the eyebrows, the way the eyebrows start to make up where your the orbital sockets, but like the hole in your skull where your eyeballs go. But you can
Yeah.
see that it's like the very top of the nose, the bit of anatomy. It's called the labella. I like to focus on that, get that angles of those sort of established, and then it kind of helps to separate, right? So the top of the head is the cranium that holds your brain, and then the lower half is the more the mask where all your facial features and stuff are located. Something that a drawing teacher told me once also, and I found it really helpful, is however you draw the top, the top of the head and the bottom, so the chin and really, where the skull would be, not necessarily where the hair is located, but like where if you can imagine, so the hair is coming up just a little bit, but there's a skull underneath there, sort of supporting the hair. So if you imagine where that is, and then the chin, halfway, right, halfway between those 2 points, that's where the eyes go. And that again is sort of a principle. It's not always you may find people that are different, that look different than that, but you establish like this location for the the eyebrows. Eyebrows are important. They kind of they sort of shade the eyes from the glaring sun, right? If you can imagine ancestors on the plains.
Yeah, so the top of the
Blinded by the
forehead to the eye is the same as the chin to the middle of the eye?
The top of the skull more. So you think of like where the skull is to the chin, and there halfway is right where the eyes are, and the eyebrows are above that. So
So the hair will be above the skull, so it's like
yeah,
a very.
there'll be a little bit of hair. Some people have really big hair. You know what I mean? And so but thinking about that structure of the bones, the skull, we've drawn a skull a few times, so we have a little bit of familiarity with it. But the thinking about that location, or thinking about that structure underneath, rather, I think can be useful. Oh my God, I'm just chatting away, and we're burning daylight here. Roughly there.
Hey James, I think you might have answered this before. But what are have you taught art classes before?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
I used to formerly. I taught at the American Academy of Art in Chicago. It's an art
Mm-hmm.
college, um, and it's where I went to. I went to school there, and it was. I think is a wonderful school, and we focused on the figure. We focused on
Mm-hmm.
drawing the figure. It was really foundational to all of the to everything we did there. Um, so I taught figure drawing classes. I taught um, what's called fundamentals, and so that's like how to draw in perspective, how to um, tonal value and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
these those are the subjects that I again so I learned them. I learned about them in school, but it wasn't until I had to get up in front of people and teach them that I really started to take them much more seriously,
Mm-hmm.
maybe too seriously at times. Because again, you want your art to be art, um, but there's a you could certainly get tied down, I think, to to convention.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me this just yesterday, and I thought it was pretty interesting about like sort of copying after others, um, like copying a master or something like that. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, it
What are your
seems like
thoughts on that?
I think that it's crucial. I think we
Mm-hmm.
have to do it. And what happens is it's like you do it and you do it and you do it, and it's like all the ways that you fail at it is who you are.
Mm,
Like you emerge out of out of the process of copying after others. It's all the ways that you know your sort of limitations almost, right? That's what ends up.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's you'll never be that person. You know what I mean? You'll never be that exact. You are who you are. Um, but again, you got to learn. You have to learn some conventions so that way you can find who you are in that mix. But art classes can be really beneficial, and but they can also be uh, like a distraction too if you're not focused on it. You know what I mean? It's like why do it?
Yeah, that's a
You know,
good point.
there's no like there's no piece of paper that's going to tell you that you're an artist or not. It doesn't work that way. I don't think.
No,
I don't think so anymore. Um, but it can be again, it's a community thing, right? If you get in a good community of people that support, share values and stuff, you're gonna end up, I think, um, becoming better at what you do and what you want to do.
And one of the cool things what happens when you study, other artists, um, is that there's just so many different interpretations of what beauty is, you know. Like
Yeah.
I was studying Jacob Lawrence's art, and while some people would call him primitive, I mean his work is still very, very beautiful, and he uses colors in a certain way. I mean, it's almost like Matisse, like if you look at his work, but it's like his work is just so powerful and it just kind of moves you in a way. And he's not necessarily portraying representational forms. I mean, they are representational, but they're not like it's not like realism necessarily. Um, whereas granted, like tattooing is very representational, it's all representational, obviously, but it's just cool when you study other artists and figure out their different interpretations of how they see the universe. It's really fascinating.
Absolutely.
I know when you were doing your studies for your master's, the time that you spent looking at the classical masters, the religious ones especially, I see how that into the things that you did, like, the big one that we looked at the beginning. There's the richness and the deepness in the colors. And I just kind of see how you blended that into the modern way of drawing, I guess.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. It was really fascinating to look at other artists, and I agree with with what you're saying, and I also agree with Spirit with like it's also really useful and beautiful to like what you like. You know what I mean? I think like there's something, it's almost intuitive, where you sort of see something and you're just like captivated by it. Um, and you may not be able to explain why, but uh, that's okay. I think that's a part of it. It's you study it more, and then you learn a little bit more about yourself. Just because maybe not everybody likes it. Again, um, that doesn't necessarily have to diminish what you see about it. So, well, I'm just sort of fiddling around. I did it. I did a head study thing. I did a sketch. Here, I will. Yeah, I'll show mine. Again, probably. Here, let me stop the share. Stop the share, and then let's see. Right. Yeah. There's mine.
Mhm.
Kind of just a quick sketch. I can like now I'm looking at it like in my screen, and I think it might be. I'm not sure if it's reversed or not. Might be, but it's like I can see it with new eyes, right? Because I'm staring at it, staring at it, staring at it, and it's like now that I can
Different
see it in a
perspective.
different. Yeah, I can see it differently. I'm like, I think my chin needs to come over just a little bit more. There's probably a few places where I could have, maybe emphasized the edge a little bit more clearly. Um, but yeah, as a quick 10-minute one, quick 10-minute sketch, I think there's some nice stuff. Again, this was what I was talking about, like a line, that sort of goes uh, through the center, right? So from the chin to the top of the skull, about halfway is, the right there where the eyes go, and then above it, this little keystone of you know, the brow ridge to the nose. Getting that established right away, I've always found that like a really effective sort of approach, really effective method for like, developing everything else that comes after that with when you're drawing somebody's portrait or if you're gonna like draw it from life. Um, right. Anybody else want to show theirs? I'd love to see. No pressure.
Mhm.
Okay, if I show mine, then you guys are gonna feel really good about yours.
Excellent.
And looks like a
Yay,
7th grader
Yep.
who did it, but
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And I think
Very much so.
so I love what you came up with. And I think, I think that like the way the feedback I will give is to keep on looking and to draw what you see. Sometimes we get into like I'm talking about like, oh, you got to make this layout and that layout and whatever. Again, those are just conventions. You know what I mean? You don't even have to do what I said. You know, if you're kind of approaching it from I'm really drawing what I'm seeing and I'm relating what I'm seeing. That's the feedback that I would give in this instance. Otherwise, being creative and like drawing things that like that you want to see, totally cool too. I think there's practice and there's good things that come out of both sorts of ways of doing it. So I love what you came up with. I think it was beautiful.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see the good ones now.
Uh,
I don't know
let's
that it's
check
good,
it.
but I'll share it.
Yes, let's see it.
Ooh. Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the shading you came up with too. It's really
Thank you.
soft. Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent work.
I started out
So-
with a line drawing and then I just started rendering his face. I forgot to pay attention to what I was doing and just did it.
Well, that's if that is a part of what you feel, you know what I mean? You felt like, oh, I lost focus or something like that, then that's experience. You know what I mean? That's an
Yeah.
experience that you'll want to take forward, I think. Um, but like again, I think there was some uh the way that you sort of saw the eyes and thought about how they looked. Again, there's a bit of uh there's imagination in that, and that's cool, right?
Mhm.
It's so I think again, we're drawing we're drawing like what we see to the extent that we're capable, and then there's also some value I think in being imaginative as well. So yeah, awesome.
Thank
Smooth
you.
shading. Yeah, smooth shading. Spirit.
Hey, all right.
I said I wasn't gonna pressure anybody, but I'm pressuring. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Word.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks, guys.
I really like the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Really like the eyes a lot. And I think as well, you're pushing the shading, right? You're really thinking about where, like here's what I think is good. The value overall is like you didn't confuse like the shading in the cheeks and stuff with the dark hair, right?
Mhm.
So the hair and the eyelashes and the irises and stuff themselves, and then the shadow underneath the chin, that is strongest. And that's what I think that's what I think you really were. It was very wise choices that you made there. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
no,
the
it does
brow.
because I guess you don't really want to get confused between, the darks and the lights. Like the shading in the face wouldn't be as dark as the shadowing of the under the chin.
Right. And it seems so that seems so simple, but um but at the same time, it really is uh when you're in the middle of drawing, right? When you're in the middle of doing it, it's like you get it's easy to get sidetracked, or it's easy to get sort of, you know, to lose focus. And that's maybe to reconnect it to our conversation earlier about like when we're rendering a tattoo, or we're doing tattoos, it's like it's really important, I think, to have that, give yourself that guidance, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm going to shade this dark, and I'm going to leave this sort of light, and that ends up, I think, it helps you from avoid like it helps you avoid like not doing, making an error, or mm, not achieving what you were setting out to achieve. You know what I mean? And so that's why we do this practice, I think, all the time. Again, return to your drawings and look at them. Um,
Hmm.
it's hard to do. I love so much everybody talking about like looking at your old drawings and seeing like the positive things, or looking at your old poetry and seeing the positive things. Um, you know, um, thinking about the your journey, and trying to see like the things that were formative to who you are today, because
Yeah.
all of it contributed to where you're at, even the bad stuff, even the stuff
Hmm.
that you don't
Hmm.
like about it. Like, if we learned anything from time travel movies, it's like, if you go back and try to correct the past, something worse is going to happen in the future.
Uh-huh.
Right.
You're going to mess up.
Right.
You're going to mess things up. All right,
Right.
things had to
Okay.
go the way
Hmm.
they they had to. So, and you gotta take the bad with the good, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
that's stop.
Hmm.
I think that's my phone telling me it's time to get on with my chores for today.
Yeah.
I got a day full. I tell you what, gang.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sure
Awesome.
you do. I'm sure you do too. Um, yeah, I hope you got your candy for the trick or treaters tonight, and and I hope that you all have a really awesome day and awesome week. Um,
You too.
let's do our quick sign offs, right? Real quick, and tell people who you are, where you're from. Harriet, where where are you from?
I'm in Hendersonville, Tennessee right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Just learning every day, new stuff. That's
that's
what I'm doing
inspiring.
right here.
Yeah, that's inspiring. Thank you, Amber.
I'm Amber Morgaine, and you can now find me on all platforms at Amber Morgaine.
Outstanding. Spirit.
Awesome. I am Spirit. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. You can find me at Instagram on Tattoos by Spirit. You can look at my website, tattoosbyspirit.com, and find me on TikTok at Tattoos by Spirit. Now, of course, James, as always, I'm going to ask if we have homework.
Mm, no, that's of course. Homework. Right. So I want you to write this down, everybody.
Mhm.
Write it down. So constructive drawing by George Bridgman. The constructive anatomy by George Bridgman. Um, Shucks, I don't know if I had. God, I had it. Hold on. maybe
Is that Bridgeton?
one more time.
Is
Bridgman,
that
Bridgman. Yes, Bridgman.
Bridgman?
Bridgman. Um, hmm, hmm, hmm. I'm trying to pull up yeah. All right. So here, I think let me see if I can share this with you all. Uh yeah, share. Alrighty. So this book is in the public domain.
Nice.
Uh, it's in the public domain, so you can download it for free. You can also find it, I'm sure, on Amazon. I'm sure that's available. But hmm, I don't. Can you all see this? Did this
Yeah,
did
we
this
can
pop
see.
up?
Yeah.
So all right. So this, I think, rather than sort of say like, oh, you got to do this one or that one, find this book, right? You can also find these illustrations as well on the internet pretty easily, George Bridgman. But find one and see about copying after it, right? We were talking about, copying after artists. This is this is an artist that I think can be really, really useful. Tricky. It's really tricky. Reading the book, I think, could also be very advantageous as well. Um, so anyway, it's a slight book assignment, right? If you could try to find this book or try to find one of those illustrations, I think if you copy one of them, you know, that would be awesome. But uh, I think again, I find that I just get more out of books when I read them. Just
Yeah.
it sounds so silly, but it's like as I think I've always sort of thought of myself, I'm just like I'm visual or whatever. I think of myself that way. And it's like
I am
um,
currently reading the life and works of Hieronymus Bosch.
you are doing that?
Yes.
Are you
I'm
enjoying it?
Wow.
I love it. I love Hieronymus Bosch. He's one of my favorite artists.
Oh, nice.
He really, he should have been named as a Renaissance artist, but because he bucked the trend, they really
Mhm.
didn't give him as much of a name as, the rest of the Renaissance artists.
Hmm.
There's another one. There's some similarities. I think Bosch is more wild, but
Yes.
Didn't he come from the
Bruegel.
Baroque period?
What's that?
Wasn't he in the Baroque period?
I think I'm not
What?
sure. I don't want to say either way. He was
Um,
earlier though. He was
yes.
Oh, he
pretty
was
early.
earlier.
I mean,
He
Oh,
was
okay.
he
very
was
early.
very yeah early in the idea of European history, early in that
Yeah.
Hmm.
sense.
But
Right?
when
So
everybody was
early in the
painting bright, illuminated, saying that his was very dark and, you know, mysterious. And I just love it.
yeah, it's
Nice.
incredible. Yeah, there's another one who's similar. Bruegel the Elder. That's the name
Yeah.
of this. Is another. I'm not sure if they were contemporary necessarily, but like just in terms of that wild religious themed, these
Mm-hmm.
paintings. They're wild. They're almost like a psychedelic trip.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're almost like they really are like so insane. Some of these
I
paintings.
would not be surprised at all if they were experimenting with psychedelics of some
Sure,
kind, during their
sure.
painting.
Fascinating.
Absinthe or
Um,
something like it has been around for a very long time.
right. Yeah. And mushrooms grow everywhere, right? So who
Yes.
knows?
Right. Seriously.
Who knows, man? But I think again, it's like what we were saying, like what you like, you know what I mean? Be interested in what you're interested in, and um, and learn, right? Learn from others and copy them and learn what you can from them, and again, in a sincere way, that's how you're gonna figure out who you are. I think. I really do. I think that's just so important. So anyway, what a great session today. It was
I
so
agree.
great to have you all. I'm so glad that that everything worked out. You were able to come. 'Cause I had some tech issues this month. Seems like every week. There's something like seems like every week, but we're
Is it
learning,
your
right?
new
We're getting
internet?
better.
Is that the
What's that?
problem? Is it your new internet?
No, no, no. I'm not going to talk bad about that. Because they're
I just,
listening. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to besmirch my, my overlords. I'm sure that, yeah, no, I'm yeah, grateful to thee that, yeah, you can't, gotta avoid, yeah, gotta be positive, right?
They're
It's so,
wonderful.
so important. So, yeah, everything's working out. Everything worked, right? Even though, there's always going to be bumps in the road, but, you know, so, all right, well, I'll sign off. I'm James Wisdom. Thank you for watching another episode of Drawing for Tattooers or listening in on the podcast. We appreciate you. Right. Happy drawing, everybody.